Russia descended into chaos, the time of troubles, pretenders, false tsars, civil war. Until 1613, when the Romanovs were elected to restore order. But by then, the Viking dynasty was already history. So was any of it true? Were the Rurikids really Viking descendants? Or was it all just medieval propaganda? That's where modern science comes in. 2007, a team of geneticists publishes a groundbreaking study. They've analysed DNA samples from living descendants of the Rurikid dynasty. Families across Russia, Ukraine and Europe who claim Rurikid ancestry. Noble houses with documented genealogies going back centuries. And what they find is stunning. Haplogroup N1C1, a genetic marker found predominantly in Finno-Ugric and Scandinavian populations, specifically populations from around the Baltic Sea, Sweden, Finland. The exact region where the Varangians came from. This isn't Slavic DNA, this isn't native Russian genetic material. This is Scandinavian, Northern European, Viking. The study doesn't prove Rurik himself existed, but it proves something arguably more important. The dynasty that claimed descent from him really did have Scandinavian ancestry. They weren't lying, they weren't making it up. The Viking blood was real. But it gets even more interesting. Subsequent studies have looked at modern Russian, Ukrainian and Belarusian populations. DNA testing companies have analysed millions of samples, and what they're finding is evidence of significant Scandinavian genetic markers throughout Eastern Europe, especially in regions where the Varangians settled. Novgorod, Staraya Ladoga, the trade route cities. Now, to be clear, most modern Russians don't have significant Viking ancestry. The Slavic population was always much larger. Intermarriage diluted the genetic markers over time. But in certain populations, especially noble families and people from northwestern Russia, the Scandinavian connection is undeniable. Archaeological evidence supports this too. Excavations at Staraya Ladoga, one of the oldest Russian cities, have found distinctly Scandinavian artefacts, Viking-style weapons, Norse jewellery, runic inscriptions, burial mounds that match Swedish and Norwegian traditions. The ancient fortress at Novgorod, built using Scandinavian construction techniques. The evidence is overwhelming.